I was told, I was informed, I went into this well aware of what I was getting into. I was made aware of the fact that The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess was a good manga. Okay, this is why I decided to take the initiative to go ahead and play it, even though I haven't finished reading Ocarina of Time, even though I have all these other series I want to get through, even though like I have like to play the game again, right? There's a lot of reasons why I didn't want to read Twilight Princess now, even though like it was definitely on my list and I was really looking forward to it. I really wanted to read this manga. And so I went ahead and read Volume 1 last night, and it very well may be the best Nintendo adaptation series ever. Right? I can't think of anything else that's better than it, other than like maybe Super Mario Adventures. But I think Twilight Princess is significantly longer. So if this goes on longer and keeps on like the same level of quality, right, when it comes to the character moments and the artwork and the fact that it's like a straight up adaptation of pre-existing material, like yeah, this might have it in it to become my favorite Nintendo adaptation ever. Maybe. We'll have to see. But, like, it's definitely my favorite Zelda manga of all time because growing up, whenever I would read this stuff, I read the Ocarina of Time manga and I read the Majora's Mask manga. Like, I never liked the deviations from the source material because they always make weird changes. Like that bit in Ocarina of Time where, like, Link buys Volvagea as a baby in the market and then, like, it grows up and, like, becomes a boss, like, later on. Like, I hate that because it contradicts, like, in-game lore and it it doesn't make it like it just doesn't happen in the game essentially. Like I always like had a big problem with that and I've always held it against these series, right? It's always been like a big issue of mine. And Twilight Princess is really no different in that regard because they definitely do take a lot of deviations from it, right? You see Midna right from the beginning, right? You're told she's the Twilight Princess. You're told about how Zant overthrew the Twilight Realm, right? Uh, there are like little bits of odds and ends that are just not one-to-one true in the game. Like they made this really bizarre decision in the manga to make Link like an outsider of Ordon Village, right? They do this thing where like, oh, you've only been living here a year and a half, which is like, what? And then they give him this weird origin story that like has no place in the game, and I don't know if there's any contradicting information in the original release, but like the way it seems in the original is that like he's been there forever, right? Like they make a big deal about this. It's like, oh, he has pointed ears, and yeah, that's a thing in the game, but that just means he has highly enhanced ancestry, right? Like Ordon is like right there. It's not in Hyrule, but it's like part of Hyrule. You know what I mean? Like it's on the fringes of it, right? It's a neighboring province, but like anyway, there are lots of weird deviations like that, right? This is no different in that regard. However, a lot of the deviations in this one make a lot of sense. The bit about Midna, for example, right? Anybody who's reading this manga already knows who Midna is. They know what she looks like. They know like the twist, like oh, she's the Twilight Princess. They know about like the imp thing. They know about like all of that. They've played the game, right? We have played the game. So like the decision to start the manga off with like seeing it happen, seeing Midna like establish like how she was thrown from power, like how the Twilight people choose their leader, right? It's not purely a hereditary thing. It's entirely based on strength, right? So Minda loses to Zant and gets cursed, right? Like, and it's such a basic formula, right? Where she just does this thing where she's just like, someone help me, and like as a fan of the game, as a fan of Twilight Princess, right? As someone who loves this character, actually all the characters in Twilight Princess, like you really feel as if this game, this manga, really understands what makes the characters in Twilight Princess appealing. Because there's differences, there's changes, like Ialia's a lot cuter in this one. Like for some reason, she looks the same, but for some reason, like drawn in like this 2D art style makes her look more appealing. Same with Midna. Like I don't know what it is, but like you have like this really stunning artwork. You have these little character moments, stuff that does not happen in the game, but is very much in tune with like the characters' personalities. The only exception being, of course, Link, who doesn't talk in Twilight Princess. Again, I really don't like the angle they decided to go with this, with like making him an outsider, because it really makes him feel as if like he doesn't belong there and he's not super close with these people. Like he's keeping things from them, right? There's this weird bit that like he's destroyed his hometown or something, and it's just like, huh? Like again, to me, Twilight Princess, the thing that really makes it special is that like it is a farm boy going out to save the world, right? You know, it is Star Wars done well. Okay, like seeing Twilight Princess really excels at that, making you feel invested in like these people that you've supposedly been around your entire life, and like to try and write that off and being like as Link just being like, oh, he's only been here a year and a half, like I cannot stand that. Can't stand that. But like, yeah, like other than like the weird decision of personality in Link, right? You know, like he gets angry more than he should, uh, like the personality seems a bit off to me, but especially compared to everyone else. But like, you know, you do feel as if they have a very specific idea of what they want to do with the character, right? He's still like the hero, right? He still participates in the search for Talo, right? He still like goes out and like confronts the monsters, confronts the Twilight, right? You know, he's fundamentally a good person. Like again, it's very much in line with what the game was trying to do, but it has its own unique take on it. And I do think this is one of those things that has kind of made me realize just how much contempt I have for this idea that like, oh, these things get changed in localization, or these things get changed from adaptations. Like they can tell different versions of the same thing can like really make radical changes and have like really strong impacts, right? You know, the Thousand Year Door is a really good example where like the original English localization made a lot of positive changes that made it better than the Japanese original, right? And in a lot of ways, I think this manga's decision to depict Link as being like more, very emotionally unsure of himself in certain respects, you know, being traumatized in some ways. Um, I think that really gives the character a lot of nuance that's different than the original, but still appealing, right? Like I find myself like really thinking the character is likable and interesting in spite of being different than the original, right? And there are like some hiccups that like I don't really enjoy, like the whole coming from the desert thing. I'm just kind of like, what? There's nobody in the desert. Like there's definitely some hangups I have about this, but like when I look at the artwork, when I see the animation, when I see like the monsters, right, the way they act, it really does look like they took a lot of influence from Berserk with a lot of these like monster designs and stuff like that. Like they have like the same kind of dialogue, like "Ooh, we're gonna get you." Ooh. Like, it's like yes, like it's so good, and it just sets it up so well, and I'm just so invested in it. And you know, this is just volume one. I'm really interested in seeing just how the story develops, because I've been spoiled on some things already, like specifically like the whole like uh like the whole romance thing that we legit never thought would happen. Like there's definitely some aspects that I have been told that I have been informed of, but I don't know how. As a big fan of the game, like I'm very excited to see how the story develops, and I really want to know just how things develop going forward.